países, principalmente Estados Unidos. Probablemente han oído hablar de muchas caravanas de refugiados que últimamente han salido de Centroamérica hacia la frontera con Estados Unidos. El derecho a organizarse en sindicatos en Honduras todavía no se respeta. Miles de trabajadores han sido despedidos tan solo por el hecho de intentarlo. Hace unos 10 años esto llevó a que muchos sindicatos desaparecieran de las empresas. En un momento les mostraremos un video sobre el muy buen ejemplo y la enorme diferencia que hemos hecho desde entonces. Para mejorar las condiciones, decidimos fortalecer los sindicatos. Éramos solo 10,000 afiliados. Actualmente tenemos 27 sindicatos a nivel de maquila de empresa con 50,000 afiliados. El 35% de la totalidad de los trabajadores, que son 145,000, están organizados y el 60% de estos trabajadores somos mujeres. Fue un desafío muy grande el que asumimos en aquel entonces. En Honduras no hay un estado de bienestar. La mayoría de los políticos están pensando en enriquecer sus propios bolsillos. No tenemos acceso a guarderías, viviendas adecuadas, educación o un sistema de salud con atención médica adecuada. Como mujeres, somos desafiadas por una cultura machista. Debemos luchar nosotras mismas para tener influencia sobre nuestras condiciones de vida. Es por eso que el sindicato trabaja todas estas áreas. Logramos capacitar más el liderazgo femenino, establecer una red y negociar los mejores convenios colectivos en las empresas. Nos hemos capacitado en medio ambiente laboral, en cómo la productividad y los salarios están interrelacionados. Y hemos logrado firmar un acuerdo tripartito que se asemeja a los convenios ramales que tienen en Dinamarca, en cooperación con empleadores y gobiernos. Desde entonces hemos obtenido un mejor acceso a salud, buenas viviendas, guarderías que podemos pagar. Hemos demostrado que es posible aumentar el salario sin que tenga que costar puestos de trabajo. Nuestros salarios se encuentran entre los más altos en la industria de las prendas de vestir en los países en vías de desarrollo y al mismo tiempo estamos atrayendo inversiones al país. Nuestro ejemplo demuestra que si nos organizamos en sindicatos también tenemos la oportunidad de obtener un trabajo decente. Muchas gracias.
Mi nombre es Gladys Rojas, vivo en San Pedro Sula, trabajo en el sector maquila como operaria. Actualmente formo parte del sindicato de la empresa Citrasoacon. Antes era un sistema de trabajo donde las metas de producción eran bastante altas, pero las bonificaciones o los pagos eran extremadamente bajos.
Mi nombre es Naún Rodríguez, presidente del sindicato de la empresa Gildan Villanueva, Citragapsa. Nos constituimos en el 2015. Fue bastante difícil porque apenas se lograba organizar o miraban un grupo que se quería organizar como trabajadores en un sindicato, lo más seguro que se tenía era que esos compañeros iban a ser despedidos.
No puede perder un salario por una máquina dañada. Montamos una campaña en una corporación que nos duró un año, donde finalmente obligamos a la empresa que reabriera la fábrica y le devolvió el empleo a los 1.400 trabajadores. Este fue un mensaje que le quedó muy claro a todas las empresas maquiladoras en Honduras, que no podían seguir vulnerando el derecho de libertad de sindicalización, el derecho a tener un contrato colectivo, el derecho a tener estabilidad laboral.
Ahora es totalmente diferente, han cambiado muchas cosas. Desde el momento que nosotros como organización sindical venimos y nos empoderamos de ella, entonces tenemos como decirle a la empresa un alto. No, a mí la ley me dice esto. Y en base a esto usted me va a respetar a mis compañeros y compañeras.
En los últimos años, las relaciones han ido creciendo en su participación de cada una de las partes cuando hablamos de trabajadores y patronos. Directamente la relación con el sindicato, ¿verdad? Y no solo con los directivos sindicales, sino que con los delegados que forman parte también del sindicato.
Tenemos una red de sindicatos de la maquila, en donde hoy en día estamos aglutinados 26 organizaciones sindicales. Hay alrededor de 48.000 trabajadores que están bajo lo que nosotros podemos decir una protección de la organización sindical.
Formar parte de la red para nosotros es bastante importante. ¿Por qué? Porque ya no somos la fuerza de un sindicato. En la red se juegan otro tipo de papeles, donde ya realmente se negocian salarios mínimos, acuerdos tripartitos y bipartitos.
Actualmente el empresario valora la opinión de nosotros como sindicalistas y hemos llegado a un punto tan álgido, tan fuerte, que el sector maquilador actualmente en Honduras es una fuerza poderosísima, al punto que está en el Congreso Nacional debatiendo leyes que benefician no solamente al sector obrero, no solamente al sector maquilador, sino que benefician a todos los trabajadores a nivel nacional.
Hoy venimos con la intención de ver los avances, ver aquellos elementos donde tenemos que avanzar más rápido y también para que hablemos de ese nuevo sistema de prestación de salud que va a cambiar radicalmente la forma en que son atendidos los trabajadores cuando tienen necesidad de atención de salud.
Yo creo que todos aquí estamos claros hacia dónde vamos, ¿ok? Estamos por firmar un adendum al convenio, lo cual nos lleva a la siguiente etapa.
Yo creería que aquí está entonces una oportunidad que la comisión, por ejemplo, los representantes de Villanueva, junto con los representantes de la asociación y el IS, agarremos este tema para que de ahí pueda salir una propuesta.
Hay una dirigencia visionaria en los sindicatos, un nuevo enfoque sobre la relación que debe haber entre el sector obrero y el sector patronal, que ha permitido que haya acuerdos en el que las dos partes se sientan contentas. Creo que también ha habido de parte del sector patronal un nuevo enfoque de lo que debe ser el trato al trabajador.
En el primer acuerdo que nosotros metimos como red, se metió el salario. Si pongamos que en $2 vale en una empresa no sindicalizada, solo por poner un ejemplo, el sindicato puede lograr llevarlo a $3. Y el sindicato lo que va logrando es que ese salario el trabajador lo lleve libre a su casa. Por eso el sindicato va promoviendo transporte gratis, alimentación gratis, el tema de salud, que estén bien asistidos en el tema de salud, becas, bolsos educativos para los trabajadores.
En el punto de vista de la salud, el sindicato ha trabajado bastante.
Respire, saque el aire.
Hoy por hoy la clínica cuenta con 4 médicos, más un médico especialista en medicina del trabajo y 3 enfermeras.
Nosotros estamos para solucionarle los problemas a los compañeros que no pueden exponer sus problemas por sí mismos. Para eso estamos nosotros ahí. Yo creo que el ser sindicalista y tener la voluntad de servir le cambia la vida a muchos compañeros. El 70% de los trabajadores de la empresa maquiladoras no poseen vivienda propia. Podemos alquilar los años que sea y nunca va a ser de nosotros. Y el beneficio de tener una accesibilidad a un crédito de una vivienda le da mucho más seguridad a uno como persona y a la misma familia que uno tiene.
Luego tenemos el tema de las guarderías infantiles. Tenemos que entender que un trabajador que tiene sus hijos y sus hijos no están bien cuidados, no puede ser productivo.
Se cuidan 5 niños, 4 de ellos son trabajadores directamente de maquila, donde ellos se benefician de pagar a un bajo costo lo que es el cuidado de sus hijos. Para mí, el trabajo decente siempre es cuando un compañero tiene lo que se merece, que el compañero tenga las condiciones para poder vivir cómodamente. Su salario para que le ajuste para canasta básica, su vivienda donde viva cómodamente con su familia. Ese es el objetivo de nosotros hasta el momento y eso es una meta que nos hemos planteado y ese es el camino que debemos de seguir, no desprender lo que es la mirada del objetivo que tenemos.
Bueno. Muchas gracias. En esta parte del video no pueden ver mi casa o donde yo vivo, ya que, como sabrán, Centroamérica es muy conflictiva, principalmente Honduras. Hay muchos sectores en los cuales están controlados por pandillas. Por esa razón no pueden ver el lugar donde yo vivo. Si tienen alguna curiosidad o preguntas, están invitados a mi puesto en el stand. Pueden hacer preguntas a mí o a cualquier miembro de 3Fs para que podamos hablar sobre nuestro éxito y los desafíos que enfrentamos a futuro. De hecho, millones de mujeres y hombres pelean la misma batalla que nosotros en muchos lugares diferentes del mundo. Disfrutamos de su solidaridad como 3Fs y le agradezco su disposición de ayudar. Nuestro ejemplo muestra que la cooperación y la solidaridad internacional sí podemos alcanzar el objetivo de desarrollo número 8 de las Naciones Unidas sobre trabajo decente para todos y todas. Muchas gracias.
Tak til Claudio Rojas. Gracias para su discurso para el objetivo mundial número 8 y su trabajo con este objetivo en Honduras. Nu skal vi fra Honduras til Myanmar, og jeg skal byde velkommen til Maung Maung, som er formand for det, der svarer til vores LO i Myanmar. A very warm welcome to Maung Maung, President for the Confederation of Trade Unions in Myanmar. The scene is all yours, and should we try the applause again?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to take this chance to thank the people of Denmark and the government of Denmark and LUFDF, because all the help that you helped us during our days in exile. The government of Denmark helped us at the UN General Assembly, at the EU meetings, at the ILO, at the Human Rights Council, and all of the things that helped us all over the last 24 years. I think this is what make this democratic change in Burma happen. And for LUFDF, since it's helped us since 1996, throughout all the years, and this is what I wanted to take the chance to thank all of you. So we were in exile for 24 years, then we went back to Burma in 2012. So this is who we are. This is called the Confederation of Trade Unions Myanmar. My name is Maung Maung. I started getting involved in the trade union movement when I was working in the mines. Then in '88 I had to leave, so I worked for 24 years. Then now I'm back in Burma, continuing the work that we started to do. And I'm showing this because if you look at the top, we have this 1996 here. This is where Brother Anton Johansson, he was the, I think, president of the food sector in Denmark, who helped us through the Danish Burma Committee to get the pressure for the Danish companies to leave the country. This is what I wanted to use as a reminder to the unions that your solidarity, that your help will achieve us democracy in the country. This is Dan Gallin. He is I'm showing this because I wanted to show the international solidarity. Dan Gallin was the General Secretary of the global union called the IUF, and he was the person who helped us get into the international trade union movement, and he is still around, and he's leading the Global Labor University. This is, let's say, a backdrop of what took place from 1988 to right up to now. So I left the country during the People's Uprising in 1988. It was called an 888 People's Uprising. Then we founded this thing. Then in 92, we started interacting with the ILO through the ICFTU, and that's where we started meeting the international trade unions, where I started meeting the LOFTF as well as LO Sweden, LO Denmark, and all the international trade unions. This is where we started getting support from international trade unions. In 2012, we went back to Burma. That was when the military government, because of all the pressure coming from the international community, started asking us to come back to Burma to see whether we could work it out together. So that is when we went back in 2012. From FTUBs, that was what we were called while we were in exile, we formed the CTUM. We had to call it CTUM because the regime had changed the country's name from Burma to Myanmar. So there was no FTUB, but it became CTUM. Then in 2015, we received the Confederation registration. And since then, we've been a delegate to the ILC up to now. And then what we have done within the countries, we strengthen the trade unions, we solidify them, and we try to support them. We have to strengthen them through trainings because we were left in a black hole for, let's say, over 30 years from 1962 when the first coup was done. The military regime closed down all freedom of association, whether it was trade unions or whether it was political parties, everything was closed down. So when we went back, the freedom of association was passed through this labor organization law, and that's where we started. So we had to strengthen, then we had to solidify, because there were so many unions coming up at the time, but we tried to put them all together, and that is where we had to solidify, and we supported because we were starting to use the labor law. We had to support through the, let's say, labor law program, and that is where we started to get people right onto the proper track. And that is when we were started having work plans together, starting to talk with LOF on how to get things moving faster. This is where we started. When we started in 2013, we have 223 members, and now we have 763 basic level organizations. The growth was in 2016 when, together with LOFTF, we designed this thing called the Training of Trainer module, and when we started training our people in a systematic training system, where we used to do it in an emotional way, now we are having our trainers go through a training module that is supported by LOFTF, where we train the trainers on the technical skills on how you train within the classroom. That's what we've done. These are the organizations that are in our affiliation. We have the agricultural sector, we have the industrial sector, which is affiliated to the industrial all now, we have the transport sector, we have the education, we have the construction and woodworkers, which are affiliated to the BWI, then we have the mine workers, which are affiliated to the industrial all, then we have the service sectors, and we have the media workers organizations. Then these are the support organizations that we're working with. The main thing is the ITUC and the ITUC Asia Pacific, where we belong. Then we have FES, then we have AgTraf, ILO AgTraf working with us. We have the Japanese trade unions, we have the industrial all, we have FNV, we have the Solidarity Center. So all of these are working with us. We are working with them on different sectors. For example, with the Solidarity Center, we work on internal organizing. With LOFTF, we work on training of trainers. So that's what we've been doing. Then these are the obstacles faced by our organization. We're facing union busting, which is normal all over the world. Trade unions, employers, they don't see eye to eye, so they are union bustings. But the main issue is how we are trying to overcome them. Yes, we have union bustings, but we try to, while the main thing we have to do is just concentrate on organizing. But then we try to establish so that the standards of our organizers grow up higher, and they are able to organize in a much more systematic way by going to training systems that are given by the LUFTF. And another thing that I think the minister this morning forgot to tell you all was that there's a program that is being done in a tripartite approach on social dialogue. There is a social dialogue program that is being run by the Danish Embassy in Burma. It's trained by DI and the LUFTF, so it's a very good thing. I think it is showing results that we are having less disputes coming up to the arbitration council. So I would say that this is something practical that is being done. It's not copied directly, but at least the sense of the need for social dialogue is being put into place in the country. Then the law lacks enforcement. Yes, it does. But then what we are trying to do is that we are being also supported together with all other governments, together with the Danish government on the labor law amendment. There is a process. There is something called the National Tripartite Dialogue Forum that was formed in 2015. And from that, we have the technical working group that is also a tripartite process, structure. From there, we are trying to amend the labor law so that it would be reflected according to the ILO conventions. So that's what we're doing. We still have a long way to go. The labor force in Burma is 22 million. Our membership is less than 100,000, so we still have a lot to do. And then this is what we're doing already is that to develop a social enterprise. Our members grow rice. Also, our members in the industrial production areas eat rice. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to cultivate the rice, get the rice from our farmers, and then sell it to the members in the industry. So this is what we do, because we know that for the long run, the union needs to be sustainable. And to be sustainable, we cannot depend upon international support forever. So this is something that we're trying to do right now. And this is how we're developing ourselves. So we were closed for the last 30 years, and now we're trying very hard to develop. And why we need to develop is we have to develop if we want to be competitive as a workforce within the ASEAN. And this is what we're trying to do, so that to develop into a modern workforce, that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to develop through these respective, let's say, the administrative capacity of the unions, to develop the sector unions and get them affiliated to the global union federations, develop the legal department, education department, develop the committees such as the Women's Committee and the Youth Committee, and then educate the leadership on the international conventions. So these are the things that we have done over the last, let's say, 6 years while we're back in Burma. And I think that this is something that we could not have achieved it. We couldn't have done it if we were not having the support from the international trade union movement, and what we call is from the LUFTF also. We're being friends. We formulated the program together, and we're saying that we are seeing results. Also on the social dialogue process, it was something that we talk about since '96, but now we're having slow results, and we are happy that we are able to inform all of you that the social dialogue, let's say, program, I think it's having its impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maung Maung, for sharing your views and experience from Myanmar with us here today. And from Myanmar, we'll now jump to Kenya. A very warm welcome to Flora Mutahi, who is CEO at Melvin's Tea and also member of the UN Global Compact Board, and also here representing the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Great welcome to you.
our consortium members, Lisette, Tina, Thomas, ladies and gentlemen from DI, friends of DI, partners of DI from different countries, good morning. Actually, it's good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to join you today as we seek to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 8, which is around decent jobs. This is close to any African's heart, because if you look at our demographics, you'd find 70% of Kenya's population, and I believe most African population, are the youth. And definitely, if you extrapolate, if we don't look after jobs and give them jobs, we could have some social uprising going forward. The private sector plays a critical role in poverty reduction and economic development of any country through job and wealth creation. In 2013, the World Development Report states that the private sector provides around 90% of both formal and informal jobs in developing countries and facilitates improving efficiency, innovation, and delivery of goods and services, contributing to government revenue and flow of capital. Kenya's private sector contributes substantially to employment creation and income generation through provision of goods and services for the domestic, sale, and export market. The manufacturing sector in particular is a guaranteed provider of productive, sustainable, and jobs for many. And the sector currently contributes about 8.3% to the GDP, which is second to the agricultural sector, which contributes 31% to the GDP. Fortunately for Kenya, the government has prioritized the manufacturing sector as one of the main pillars in the next 5 years. The competitiveness of this sector is dependent, of course, on sustainable industrial investment, which must be maintained while meeting the needs of the current generation without compromising the ability to meet the needs of the future generations. With this in mind, Kenyan industries continue to strive to remain competitive and increase their market share in their respective sectors. And this is where Kenya Association of Manufacturers come in. It is a membership-based organization with about 1,000 members. Basically put in sectors, we have about 14 different sectors. And CAM spearheads Kenya's economic development by advocating for a stable and conducive business environment and the enactment of sound national and regional policies to facilitate the local industry's competitiveness. This is achieved by providing an essential link for cooperation, dialogue, and understanding with the government and other key stakeholders by representing its members' views and concerns through fact-based policy and advocacy. A little bit like what DI does here. Our work ensures that the understanding of competitiveness focuses on sustainability and self-reliance as a nation, which is only guaranteed through our capacity to be a productive economy on a global scale. In line with our mission to promote competitiveness and a sustainable local manufacturing, the association has also been at the forefront of spearheading the advancement of sustainable and inclusive industrialization. CAM, in partnership with DI, has been working with the Confederation of Danish Industries since 2003. At the time, the partnership sought to build staff capacity, strengthen and professionalize the secretariat, promote membership development, strengthen the revenue base of the organization, promote membership satisfaction, introduce new member services, and establish organized work plans. The lady that Thomas was talking about, who he said first began Kenya Association of Manufacturers by meeting every Wednesday, is currently now, I believe, I think it's Betty Minor, who is now the Deputy Minister, we call her Permanent Secretary, in the Ministry of Industrialization. So you can see CAM not only grows industries, but also grows people to drive industrialization as a nation. So by the end of 2005, our membership had, and which is only about 3 years after working with DI, our membership increased to 370, from 370 in 2002 to 472 in 2005. And currently, like I mentioned, it's now 1,000 members, only 13 years later. Our revenue base grew from $0.3 million to 0.37, and currently about $1 million as we speak. Our staff complement was from the 1 lady to 4 to 6, and currently we have 70, a staff complement of 70 members. With DI, we've been able to focus on continuous development of our annual plans with clear, attainable targets. They fly out anytime, well, when we're able to put our calendars together to help us look at our work plans and what we are trying to achieve. Members' capacity building initiatives were also introduced to include seminars and forums on policy issues. Additionally, with DI, the association embarked on a 4-year project to build networks in Eastern and Southern African regions in 2008. The initiative brought together the East African industry players to identify and address the challenges hindering the growth of the manufacturing sector in the region. To achieve this, CAM closely worked with the EABC Business Membership Organization, where policy positions were developed for a push to national and regional levels. To this day, CAM continues to take a lead in engaging the EAC member organizations through the East African Manufacturing Network, some of whom we've actually met today. Business ethics and integrity play a huge role in promoting industrial growth, and to ensure the same is incorporated in the industry's operations, the association has continued to equip industry with knowledge and skills needed to put in place compliance systems as outlined by various rules and laws that govern business operations. As part of this initiative, CAM partnered with Danish industries in 2009 and 2010 to strengthen the Global Compact network and to promote strategic corporate responsibility among Kenyan businesses through the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact, which are human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. Initially, the local compact had been launched in Kenya in 2005 by the UNDP, with 5 local businesses to implement various projects that promote businesses. However, this did not work, and again, with the help of DI, it was relaunched and KAM, it was relaunched again in 2007 to allow for greater private sector ownership, this time in partnership with a trinity of leading private business organizations in Kenya, including KAM, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and the Federation of Kenyan Employees. Currently, CAM proudly hosts the UN Global Compact network to date. As part of our Responsible Business Initiative, CAM, in partnership with the Global Compact, also helped establish dialogue between companies and local communities. A CSR committee was formed in 2015 to act as a bridge between salt investors and the Magarini community in the Kenya's salt subsector belt. What had happened is there was a lot of hostility with the local community that was putting a lot of pressure on the company saying we need this, we need the other, and it was not sustainable. But again, with the help of DI, we were able to put together a committee that was able to mitigate and basically allow the sectors to do the salt investors to actually carry out their business. Through the CSR project, the association continues to engage about 25 community members in the Salt Belt who participate in monthly meetings with the companies on behalf of the community. Additionally, between 60 and 70 community members participate in the stakeholder forums, which are held quarterly. This project also promotes the 10 UN Global Compact principles. The subsector has a total of 1,118 permanent employees employed by the 4 companies and 80 casual contractors that could go up to 900 during the harvest time. This initiative is not only limited now to the salt subsector, but now has been taken over by the sugar sector. We want to sweeten it a little bit. Other initiatives that the association has taken up to promote sustainability in partnership with DI and create jobs is waste management. In our commitment for a cleaner Kenya, CAM is has involved stakeholders in the development of inclusive and sustainable solutions through plastic waste management initiatives. Many times we've had forums to sort of explain to the companies the importance of a circular economy. And through DI, we've been able to build capacity in our local PET subsector for them to understand the importance. This initiative advocates for the implementation of an extender producer responsibility scheme which will generate value and spur sustainable growth. This EPR scheme will ensure manufacturers of PET bottles that they have a significant responsibility for the treatment and disposal of post-consumer products. It's something that our current government is actually very excited about, and is very excited that we are assisting the Ministry of Environment, and especially with benchmarking with what has been done in countries such as Denmark. We also, with DI, also do value chain development. The Danish industry is also supporting the food sector in streamlining value chains with an objective of reducing post-harvest losses, which in Kenya account for 20 to 40% of food loss. And if you think we're a mainly agricultural-based country, it is important that we actually are able to reduce this loss. So far, we've been able to streamline the tomato value chain, with others coming up. Within the process. As I conclude, as a member of the UN Global Compact and Kenya Network Boards, it is my distinct privilege to continue advocating for a new age of responsible and sustainable businesses, both at home and abroad. There are many opportunities available in Kenya, and I therefore invite you to invest in Kenya, as we have limited opportunities for sustainable development such as clean energy, waste management, value chain development, technological innovation along the value chain, agribusiness, and so forth. Additionally, Kenya has skilled and youthful labor, a high literacy rate, a ready market, an expanding infrastructure, and a rapidly growing economy with access to wider regional markets, especially with the signing of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which will allow us access to not only the current 1.5 billion people, and I think in 2030 it's expected to go to 2.4 billion people. So it is a huge market. Africa also has a large landmass that can fit actually Europe, USA, India, China, and Japan. 55% of the world's uncultivated arable land is in Africa, meaning it can be it actually will be the food basket for the rest of the world. I look forward to forging successful partnerships with you in realization of the SDG. Thank you. Look at you.
Roland Mutai, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking us on this short tour to Kenya and tell us about your work there. Og nu skal vi så, efter at være en tur rundt i verden, så skal vi have en dansk synsvinkel, eller i hvert fald et dansk udgangspunkt. Og jeg skal byde velkommen til Niels Østerberg fra Orana, direktør i Orana, og det er et eksempel på, hvordan den måde, vi arbejder på i Danmark, den måde, vi gør tingene på her i Danmark, hvordan det kan fungere på markeder i udviklingslande. Konkret eksempel på det. Velkommen, scenen er din.
Thank you very much. For the last 2 weeks, I got a mail every day that I should shorten my 32 slides to 15 minutes. But 3 minutes ago, I was told I could extend it with another 5 minutes. So now I don't know which kind of story I'm going to tell you. But I'm going to tell you about growth in the developing countries the Danish way. And then I'd like to have a... Okay, that was it. I need this one, yeah. Thank you. In short, Orana is doing concentrate for juices and fruit for dairies and bakeries. We have 95% of our activities outside Denmark, and we do them both tailor-made and in commodities. We are also involved in food service, ice cream, co-packing, fresh fruit processing, and technology transfer. We are an international company based on old Danish values. I'm not so sure that the new Danish values with nationalism is fitting into our point of life, but we are going back to the old Danish values. We are based on more than 80 years of experience in fruit because we came out of Rynkeby Masteri, which was founded in 1934. We've been doing industrial sales for more than 40 years. Today we have 44 innovation centers, 5 production sites, 13 sales offices. One of them is in Kenya. And we have all the certificate needed to be an international player on the raw material market. Nobody knows Orana except inside the industry because we supply raw material to other people's final products. Our biggest customer worldwide is Nestle, and we are approved supplier to all the big ones like Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, Yum Group, whatever. We are very focused on CSR and now SDGs, and we are environmental conscious because that is where we came from, so we do it the Danish way. We don't pollute like what we see in many of the markets we are in already. Our group management is composed of 5 females, 4 men, 5 Danes, 2 Indians, 1 Sri Lankan and 1 Vietnamese. So we are not only saying that we of course we have the roots in Denmark and we are based on Danish values, but we take foreign nationalities into our management team because we cannot manage outside Denmark only with Danes. That would be too much one-sided. We wrote down our first CSR policy back in 2007, and it's based on these 10 Orana CSR commitments. No forced labor, no child labor, minimum standards for salaries and working hours, freedom of associations, no discriminations, Danish working conditions and safety at all production sites. We are not having production sites in, we have the production in Egypt, India and Vietnam, but it's Danish factories on Egyptian soil, Indian soil and Vietnamese soil. We have Danish environmental standards at all these production sites. We have strict business integrity in all departments. We have rules for who can give gifts and we have rules for who can accept gifts. Because in these countries we have chosen, we really want challenges because going into Vietnam, India and Egypt, that is not where the ethics is the same as what you are used to here in Denmark. So we really have to tell all our employees that they have to live by the Danish way. So, of course, we have zero tolerance of corruption, and we have supply chain systems where we really do a lot of auditing of our suppliers, because it's not okay that we have all our things in the right way. We also need to have our suppliers to do it, and we have huge problems here because we can do it in-house and with our suppliers, but when we go to the next one, which is the farmers, which is far away, it's going to be more difficult, which is also one of the reasons why we want to go into farming within the next year. Our success is based on 5 pillars. One of them is traditional origin. This lady here is Dagmar Andreasen, which took her mother company, Rynkeby Masteri, which started in a kitchen squeezing apples, into the leading juice manufacturer, first in Denmark and later on in Scandinavia. This picture here is from 1934 is the founder, which started squeezing apples in the kitchen with her husband, and then Dagmar in the Yellow Submarine in the harbor of Kerteminde. We come from Rynkeby, which is a very small society, less than 1,000 people living there. Dagmar is my mentor. I met her first time 40 years ago. She was a remarkable lady. She was 50 years ahead of her time. Whatever the way she drove or managed her business was by the SDGs, which is very common today to talk about. But that was what she taught me 40 years ago when I was a pure student making a mathematical model, how you extract apples out of apple juice with this lady. So you can see what mathematics can end up with. It can end up in the fruit business. This is Dagmar with the mother, and that picture was actually used from one of the advertisements 40 years ago. Mother didn't like additives either. And that time everybody was using artificial colors and everything. So that's just to show how far ahead she was of her time. As a small company, we started this under the Rinkeby Mosteri and later on Rinkeby Foods. And then we started 100% private, half Carlsberg, 100% Carlsberg, half Arla, 100% Arla. And then in 1999 we started through a management buyout, 13 people for ourselves in this small town, Rinkeby. And because of that, we have to be extremely innovative and creative. You can see some samples of the shots where we have used, it's purely organic, it's with fruits from around the world, and it's with functional ingredients which has a positive effect on your health, and then they taste good. And then we probably make the best ice cream in Copenhagen, and we definitely do the best ice cream in Ho Chi Minh City. And that's something I can tell you. One of our philosophies is that we believe in decentralized production, close to the raw material, which is the fruit, and close to the customers. In this way, we don't need to transport fruits from one part of the world to the other part of the world, or we minimize it. But that means that this small setup from Rinkeby has spread into these different 4 production sites and these 13 sales offices around the world. And that we have done in 19 years. Quality and responsibility is a must. That's part of our DNA. And then we also believe in spreading the risk. With this world these days, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So when you spread the risk, you don't risk your business. Anyway, why has Orane chosen to work on SDG 8, decent work and economically growth? We haven't. Wasn't that what I was supposed to tell today? We have always done it. So we didn't choose to do it, but it came to our DNA. But doing it, I can tell you, really give good results. We have safe and secure working environments in all our plants. We use the Danish standards in all our production sites. We have increased labor productivity. We have ensured gender equality, SDG 5. Actually, that means now that we have to, the men have to fight for their rights in our company. Which I can tell you, that's even more tough than the females doing it. We have built up business in developing countries, and we have provided economic growth, which is more than average. We established our production in Vietnam in 2002, and today is actually our biggest operation. When I came to Vietnam first time in 93, there was a poverty of 58% of the Vietnamese was living below the poverty limit. And in these 25 years, they have managed to reduce this to 8%. So that 50% of the Vietnamese people have been transformed from being poor to being much richer than they were at that time. That is not because of us, but we have been part of this development, and we have been doing it the Danish way, building up this setup in Vietnam. We have increased our production when we started back in 2002 from 180 tons to more than 6,000 tons. So we have made the activity there 30 times more in these 16 years.
Hiện tại mình công tác và làm việc ở đây được 13 năm. Năm nay mình 33 tuổi. Vị trí hiện tại của mình là trưởng ca của sản xuất nhà máy F2, điều hành công việc thường nhật trưởng ca. Đơn hàng trong quá trình làm việc ở Orane thì mình học được rất là nhiều về vấn đề quản lý rồi cách sắp xếp công việc từ người châu Âu đem về hiện tại của mình rất là happy về cái công việc hiện tại đang làm. chúc Orana là ngày càng thành công và phát triển. Xin cảm ơn.
We actually encourage the Vietnamese workers to make their own worker union, because in that way it makes the communication between the management and the workers much easier than if we have to negotiate with 170 employees. And the way they have done it is they really give us it's a cooperation. So in that way they know that if the company is successful, it also gives them better conditions. And we had the pleasure some years back to have 3F out there, and you were really impressed about the way we had the contracts and everything was in order. You thought that Danish people or Danish companies was just going out there to make cheaper products to compete, the Danish one, but what we did was that we expanded our business by doing it the Danish way in the Vietnamese society. We were in one of the DI's publication a year ago about the work-life balance, and that you can see more about our stand out here in the corridor in the juice break. In 2007, I don't understand. In 2007, we were copying what we did in Vietnam into Egypt, and the culture in Egypt is much more different than the culture in Vietnam, and there are some challenges, but we have two examples here of how we treated first females, which are
أنا
not
منى
used to
أحمد،
have.
خريجة 2014 كلية العلوم قسم سبيشال كيمستري. كان هدفي إني أنضم لفريق عمل يزود خبراتي، وفعلا ربنا وفقني وانضميت لشركة أورانا في 2015 كبرودكت كونستراكشن. وظيفتي هي إني أنقل المنتج من مرحلة التطوير لمرحلة الإنتاج والتصنيع. من 2015 بدأت كبرودكت كونستراكشن اسيستنت رئيس قسم البرودكت كونستراكشن. بمساعدة فريق العمل الدنماركي ونقلهم الخبرة العلمية والعملية، قدرت إني أترقى من وظيفتي وبقيت من مساعد مدير إدارة إلى مدير الإدارة في خلال سنتين. أحب أضيف إني كل يوم بستفيد وأتعلم أكتر من الفريق الدنماركي، لأنهم بيمدونا بكل المعلومات والخبرات بكل طرق التواصل، سواء السفر لمصانعهم في الدنمارك أو الاتصال أو الاجتماعات الدورية طوال ساعات العمل أو بعد ساعات العمل. بجد أنا فخورة إني انضميت لشركة دنماركية وحاسة إنها عيلتي الكبيرة اللي بحبها. الدنماركيين مبدأهم هو التعليم، حتى لو غلطت لازم تتعلم من أخطائك، المهم إنك تتعلم منها عشان ما تتكررش تاني.
The next one is one of my experiments, because that's a coffee boy, which has been promoted. In Egypt, no manager, no one can really make a decision, and they will never take the responsibility for what they're doing. So if they make a mistake, it's always their employee's mistake. So it ends up with the coffee boy, so all the bad thing in the company belongs to the coffee boy. And it's because of him that the company is not performing. But we got a coffee boy, and I don't know who employed him, because he was not able to make coffee, and he was not able to speak English when he was employed. But he had the right attitude. He was the lowest paid, and he went out to buy an Arabic English dictionary to learn English, and he was very soon learned to make good coffee. And in that way, we promoted him to, as you can see what he's saying by himself.
اسمي عبد الفتاح نصر، ديفلوبمنت اسيستنت في قسم البحوث والتطوير في اورانا ايجيبت، اللي هي في الاساس شركه دنماركيه. شركه اورانا بتعني ليا كتير جدا. ابتديت شغل في الشركه في البوفيه كاوفيس بوي من 2013 لمده سنتين. بعد كده مستر نيرز لما لقاني بحب اتعلم واتطور من نفسي رقاني ونقلني قسم البحوث والتطوير. اشتغلت مساعد عام في القسم. كنت احب اتعلم من التيم كل حاجه واتابع شغلهم واتابع التفاصيل، وهم شجعوني وعلموني كتير. وانا دلوقتي بقيت مساعد في الجزء الخاص بتحضير وتطوير وصفات المشروبات، وكل شهر بنعمل انوفيشن دي ونقدم فيه افكار جديده، وبناخد تصويت من كل العاملين في الشركه، وكذا مره كنت بطلع الاول. اكيد من احسن الفرص في حياتي هي شغلي في اورانا دنماركيه.
The reason why we did this was, of course, two things. He had the right attitude, and everybody else was against it, because we have a person here which had no education at all. He could not the language. Now he can speak language. We have taught him to do the computer, and now he's even doing the heart of the business, which is development. And as he said, he has won several internal competitions in development, and he has even made a lot of new products for our customers in the Middle East. And that's from a guy which had no education. So we gave him a life. And we proved to the rest of them that this is what we mean when we do it the Danish way, that is the attitude, and not only because you come out of a rich family, because that we cannot use for anything in a Danish company. We are our SDGs. We have a project 8512, where we have 8, 5, and 12. That is for our existing business and for our existing factories. And what do we gain out of doing this focus? Because now, of course, some of it comes from the DNA, but here we are have to work a little bit also. But we got stable key employments. In Vietnam, turnover employments is employees could easily be 50%, and that means that every time an employer goes out, we lose know-how and we have to retrain some more. So we have really kept that down to some years as low as below 10. We have good and safe working conditions, both at our Danish and our outside factories. We have gender equality and no discriminations. We established a workers' union. We have satisfied employees, which again gives higher productivity. We have had successful establishment in extremely difficult countries. We have had a growth rate higher than average. And then we have these sustainability goals which our employees can identify themselves with, which means that, as you also could hear in the examples, that they feel like a family, which is extremely important for giving more growth. It's not only a financial growth, it's also growing to produce more fruit-based raw materials and final products. For our future projects, we have SDG 12, Project 1217, which is 1, 2, and 17, which you can hear more about out there in the foyer also. This is just to show a little bit that we have done growth higher than average. And with the number of employees have grown nicely outside, but at the same time we have also grown the number of employees in Denmark. We started 13 employees in Denmark, and now we are more than 50 or 57 in Denmark. And then we have 5 Skåne jobs, and I used all last week to find out what Skåne job is in Denmark, but I will let the box out there find out because I don't know. And we have 4 trainees and 1 refugee. So even in Denmark we have some social responsibility. Why did we have all this success? SDG 8 is in our DNA. SDG 5 is fulfilled 100%. We had international experience. We were born global. Because when we were part of Carlsberg, nobody else of the juice manufacturers wanted to buy anything from us in the surroundings. So we were the closest export market was Middle East, which is still our biggest market. And when we went into Ireland, nobody wanted to buy our fruit for yogurt in the local market, so we had to go outside again. We have had good partnerships, and we have long-term cooperations. Our partner in Vietnam, we started with him in '93 as being our agent. The only thing he owned was a motorbike. But he had something which we didn't have. He spoke Vietnamese, and he knew the potential customers. So together we did building up, and by the way, we have in Vietnam today a market share of 100% within the fruit for the dairy. We have had support from Danida. We used the Danida private sector program a lot to build up these Vietnamese. So we had workers from Denmark going to train workers in Vietnam. Laboratory people in Denmark to go and train laboratories. So they trained, and I had the pleasure to train my partner, which is my friend. So I had the easy part. We had the support from IFU. We have used IFU as a co-investor and a strategic partner in all 3 joint ventures in Vietnam, India, and Egypt. We have had support from local embassies, which has been extremely good. We have had hard-working employees, which really appreciate these Danish values and the way we did it. And we have had these values and traditions, which I think is one of the most important reasons why we have had this growth. And again, success overseas gives success in Denmark. Now the politicians are gone, so I have no recommendation for them. Labor unions, you have a YouTube showing these bad boys like me want cheap labor to come into Denmark. That's not right. We want to have our workers from outside to come to Denmark and see how we do it the Danish way. And it's far too expensive or far too difficult to get foreign workers and foreign employees into Denmark and work for half a year, 1 year. Everybody thinks we do it to save salaries here. That's no way. We can easily send our Danish workers out to work and train them outside, but we also want the outside workers to come to Denmark and see how it can be done. But that is very difficult, and the politicians, going towards all this nationalism is not the way to build a cooperation across borders. We need to be, I know there's somebody who misuses the rules, but there's also somebody who does not misuse the rules, and we really want to have that easier. Thank you very much.
Tak til Niels Østerberg, Mr. Niels, for dette indblik i, hvordan Orana arbejder rundt omkring i verden, og også for anbefalingerne her til sidst til politikere, fagforeningsfolk osv. herhjemme. Lige om lidt, så er der frokost, og helt lavpraktisk, så er det sådan, at den foregår lige her udenfor i A-træet. Og for at der skal være plads til alle, så er det vigtigt, at de der kommer først ud, I sådan går så langt ned, I overhovedet kan komme, for ellers så ender det med, at alle klumper op i den her ende. Og så bliver der for det første vældig meget trængsel. Der bliver meget trængsel ved de borde, der er heroppe, og meget lidt nede ved dem, der er nede i den anden ende. Så træk endelig nedad i A-træet, når I kommer ud her. Efter frokost, så mødes vi herinde igen præcis kl. 13.50, og det er meget vigtigt, I er tilbage her præcis kl. 13.50, og det er fordi, der skal bygges lidt om ude i A-træet, der skal laves den her markedsplads. Og måske er det en god idé allerede her under frokosten at begynde at overveje, hvad er det for 2 stande, I vil besøge, når markedspladsen denne åbner. Det vil være sådan, at der bliver mulighed for at besøge 2 af de i alt 12 stande. Og hvis man nu ikke lige kan få plads på den stand, hvis ikke der er plads til, at man kan være på den stand, man allerhelst vil være på, så er det jo godt at have en i reserve, så også tænke over nogle alternativer. Standene er dels beskrevet udenfor på væggene, der hvor standene skal være, men også i programmet kan I læse bagerst, hvad de forskellige stande de går ud på, hvem I kan møde der osv. I kan jo for eksempel møde alle talerne fra her i formiddag på de forskellige stande. Og så er der bare at sige god frokost. Husk, det er altid en god idé, når man er til frokost til sådan en konference her, og lad være med at spise sammen med dem, man plejer at spise sammen med. Og benytte muligheden for at komme til at tale med nogen, man ikke vidste, det ville være interessant at tale med. Måske ovenikøbet for nye venner, måske ovenikøbet for nye kontakter. Der er masser af gæster og deltagere her i dag fra rundt omkring i verden, og hvem ved, måske er der også et værelse til en den dag, man står og banker på og siger, jeg kunne da godt tænke mig lige at besøge dit land. Det er jo det, man altid får ud af, når man mødes på kryds og tværs af landegrænser. Ha' en rigtig god frokost. Vi ses herinde igen kl. 13.50.